Well, there's been a lot of discussion. I wonder if all the relevant people are here. Let's just see. Deez, do you want to, just because there's been a lot of discussion just in the last little bit, do you want to hop up? I know that you have a couple of items you want to talk about, but then also maybe finishing with talking about the landing page and what we're between you and Silo Chad, maybe we can come up with an action plan on that.
Yeah, I think Silo Chad should be able to take the lead on that.
Yeah, happy to speak to the landing page. So just so everybody's up to speed, the basic idea is we're going to make bean.money a landing page that's much like many other Ethereum protocols, where it's something simple that kind of gives an overview of Beanstalk and then links to the app with a launch app button. So we want to get this done in the next couple days. So we'll be working this weekend on a design for that. In terms of what we need from everybody else, I think we're pretty much good to go. Wrapping up copy now, and I'll be working with Sweet Red Beans on some design stuff. Happy to answer any questions about like the motivation behind this or what it'll look like and all of that, if anybody has any. But yeah, just expect bean.money to get updated in the next couple days with that design.
Okay, great. I also had a chat with Jaker B today. He's going to be project manager on a couple of different projects, kind of making sure timelines are done, making sure people are documenting things in the Notion, that kind of stuff. So I just looped him in to that. We had a chat about an hour ago. And so there should be a project card in Notion for this now. And I added everyone in there, but just take a look, make sure that he's going to kind of clean that up and take ownership of the project to a certain degree. But since it's moving so quick, it'll probably be done by the time he's really following up with people. So just to let you know, he's involved, but I think this seems like it's moving faster rather than slower. So that's great. Now back to Deez, back to you for other things you want to talk about as far as updates to the design department, and I'll just let you take the floor for a little bit.
Hey, yeah. I mean, didn't have anything specific in particular, but just to be brief and give an update. So we have a few different projects going on. A lot of you are probably part of at least one of them. Just trying, right now the focus is just trying to get some good quality educational content out so that people can understand Beanstalk quickly and easily, especially our target audience. And so we have things such as like the video curriculum, which is first starting out as blog posts. We have Nasdaq, who's going to be training the AMA videos, uploading those onto YouTube so people can just have those a lot more readily accessible. And then again, like with the landing page, hopefully that should be able to kind of guide people and streamline the experience for the users as well. And then as far as just an update on the brand and like the visual identity, that's being worked on right now. I know there's some new snapshots up for people that I personally referred to help out with the design department. So please go and vote. And yeah, I mean, that should be pretty much everything as far as what we're getting done.
Okay, great. Yeah, those snapshots are up and ready to be voted on. So take a look at those. There will be probably a couple more here coming up pretty soon, which is exciting. Also, anyone who should have received, I know that we were a little bit slow on the payroll end of things, but if anyone who should have received pods, just take a look. If you didn't get them, send me a message. I'll show you. We can sort of everyone should have gotten their pods. I think we're pretty accurate on that. So just let me know if something seems wrong there. All right. Just glancing at my notes here. JWW, I was going to bring you up. You had a couple of items. Great. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I had a couple. Unfortunately, my notes just crashed as I was working through that list. But I know, for example, you'll talk about the poker piece. There's a couple things on there. On the NFT side, I listed out the 1559 last week. Didn't really get any comments from anyone. But if you guys can take a look at what we were thinking of in terms of that Syncubate and I threw up there, it'd be great to get some feedback and some thoughts on that. And he and I are going to have a touch base in the next day or two as well. So there'll be some more details coming in about that. Dee's just talked briefly about the video curriculum, so we're still working through that. And we actually kind of have the first draft of what we're hoping like the high level script will look like. And so that should be ready to be reviewed. On the, hold on one second. On the agency side, so we're still looking to get a follow-up call with another agency or two. I know we talked about that before, Dumpling, in terms of sharing, obviously, who we vet at the end. But like I said, to start out with, we're kind of cutting out the people that are just clearly, or the teams that are just kind of not really something they want to go too much further with. But once we get to that stage, obviously, we'd socialize it with the team. So that everyone knows where we're at. You mentioned payroll just now, and again, to iterate what Dumpling said, everyone that will have that going on a much more frequent cadence going forward. So thanks for your patience as we got that out. I've got a bunch of messages from people, but if you do have any hangups, as Dumpling said, either shoot him a message or shoot me a message. And yeah, there are some other pieces as well, Dumpling, but unfortunately, like I said, my notes crashed. There's just a ton of other random stuff, I guess. But that'll be it for now.
Yeah, no problem. Well, if you get them, or I was just, you mentioned that some of the things that were on my mind, so that's good. Mostly is there a timeline? Like, it seems like Luna PR seemed pretty good. Was that one? How are we feeling about them? And I guess, like, what would next steps be if we found like the perfect match?
Yeah, Luna was pretty good. We're talking with them about overall scope right now, because they fleshed out. They frankly, when an agency approaches you, they're just going to tell you they can do literally everything for you. You don't need to do anything. Just sit back and relax. And so we have to cut that down to tell them kind of more where we're focusing and like what's of more interest. And so that's kind of the stage we're at. I'll be honest, we're waiting for a follow-up from them. The team is based in Dubai, so it's been a little tough to get time on their calendar. We just had a quick email back and forth late last night. But as of now, I think the soonest that we're going to have a follow-up with them is probably early next week. So next steps would be follow up with them, clarify a little bit more what makes more sense for us, and then talk quickly about what that would look like from a pricing perspective, and then share that with the community, get thoughts on it. Obviously, then because we wouldn't be proceeding on anything before doing that. So hopefully by end of next week, we're in a position where we can share with the community what that's looking like.
Cool. That sounds great. Have a quick announcement on the Guess the Beans. So a little drum roll on that. The total count was 9,166 and a half beans. And that makes the winner was Altcoin Rider on Twitter, who is a member of the Discord. He goes by Machu. So he's been, there he is, Machu. Machu, just a little round of applause for Machu for the wonderful guess on the Guess the Beans.
Thank you, buddy. That's awesome. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
Oh,
yeah. I DM'd him and I said, "Hey, come say hello." So
I was trying to figure it out.
Well,
so
welcome. And, congratulations.
Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So just DM me. We'll coordinate how to get you paid on this.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy. I'll mute myself and just listen in.
Cool. Okay, so next, I wondered if someone could, let's see, do we have Mexo? Mexo, great. I was wondering if we could get a Biz Dev update between you and maybe Mr. Manifold could chime in a little bit too, about meetings that happened this week. It seems like there's a lot kind of on the plate.
Yeah, definitely. I can give an update. Hold up, let me pull up my notes. Yeah, so one of the things that we have in the pipeline that's fresh as of this week that I'm super excited about is we started a conversation with Fiat DAO, and they basically enable holders of what they consider to be zero coupon bonds to borrow money against those ZCBs. And pods are essentially zero coupon bonds where you don't yield anything before maturity. Everything happens all at once. And so it would be super exciting if we'd be able to borrow money against our pods. So the pod marketplace will need to be live for a week or two before we can move forward with them. But basically they were saying if we get some idea of how much a pod is worth, at whatever place in line, then they might be able to list pods as a collateral type. So that's super, super exciting. So
yeah, that's great. Super cool.
So that's Fiat DAO. And then there's Liquidity. So we had a conversation with Liquidity about a month ago, and nothing really happened with them. And so we were able to re-engage them. And basically the integration that we're going to do with them is we're going to add LUSD as a option for interacting with the silo in the field. And so that'll be really interesting. And then the other thing that will happen is we're going to be basically the Bean dApp will be added as like a Liquidity front end where ETH holders can directly on Bean convert to LUSD and then interact with the silo or field that way also. And so I think that there's just like a really symbiotic relationship with Liquidity just because they need borrowers, we need lenders. And so I think that that'll just work out really nicely into the future. So that's Liquidity.
Awesome.
And then we're having some early like cross-chain conversations. So we talked with AVAX. Like it's not the highest priority right now. So we had a conversation with them and they're willing to keep chatting, but it frankly for us isn't the highest priority, but that's in the pipeline as well. Yeah, and then one of the last things is TBTC. This is an integration that'll probably be complete in the next week or two. That's basically allowing BTC holders to essentially interact with Beanstalk via TBTC, which is this like decentralized wrapper for BTC holders to use Ethereum dApps. So we're talking with the team. They're excited. And yeah.
Okay, that's great. Mr. Manifold, do you have any updates?
Hey, Dumpling. Yeah, so I'm sure some of you guys saw the Aphra airdrop is now live, so you can go claim it. There's no rush to do so. It won't expire. So, if gas fees are high or you guys spend spending the ETH, it's totally fine. But that's live now, and kind of the cadence there will be, I think, within the next few days, there'll be like a low liquidity Uniswap pool launched, which makes Aphra tradable and just kind of some natural price discovery. After that, probably in the next week to 10 days, I would say, bonds will go live, and that'll be for kind of cash flowing assets for Aphra. So you think like Curve, Convex, FXS, and things like that. And then, USDV in concurrence is going live tomorrow, which is great for Aphra, because hopefully Aphra will be able to, tune on its protocol to protocol minting with USDV relatively soon. And then where does this leave Bean? So then at the tail end of this, and when I say tail end, I mean in the next, hopefully 3 to 4 weeks, we start bootstrapping the D3 pool, which starts to lead to some real Bean demand, and ARB strategies for Aphra around Beans Peg. So all of that's kind of in play, making great progress. The airdrop's live. You can claim it, but there's no further guidance there at this time. The next thing kind of is the Frax Bean LP that we're working on with Sam at Frax. Everything's positive and constructive there. We're kind of just in a holding pattern, figuring out what the best way to swap kind of Beans and Frax are to kind of bootstrap this pool. I expect within the next week or so, we'll kind of have that panned out and hopefully be able to get that pool live sooner than later. So those are kind of the two main items that we're making progress on and chugging away on, but all good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
Mr. Manifold, is there did we throw a medium or anything out about claiming those airdrops?
So literally just like an hour ago, that we got the UI up. There's no medium or anything like that up right now. This was kind of just a post on Aphra's end. But I think, once we have the white paper out, maybe the next 5 to 7 days, I would say, we'll have a few formal Medium articles out about Aphra and the airdrop and all that.
Okay, and how to claim it, I assume, because I think that'll probably come into the general chat quite a bit.
Yeah, totally. Just for reference for this group right here, you can just go to aphra.finance, click claim, and connect your wallet and claim it.
Yeah, I went there. It looked pretty easy, but you're right, JWW. There probably will be some people who have maybe never claimed an airdrop before or something, and that'd be a good idea to have something for them, and to just verify that they're at the right website and everything like that. So that might be a nice thing to just kind of put together something on that.
Yeah, maybe we can just tweet out those steps tomorrow from Beansprout. I'll take care of that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could do like a little thread, and then we can just link people to the thread or something like that. That'd be great. Do we have any idea of like the amount of tokens that they have, or what kind of, I don't know, like what kind of range? Well, whatever. We'll see as they start trading. That's cool.
I think it's pretty variable at this point. Definitely factoring the kind of current market conditions. But just for anecdotally, 10% of total token allocation was allocated towards airdrops, and the Bean community received a third of that. So you can kind of back into valuation that way once the Uniswap pool launches.
Sorry, you said we were how much of that, the airdrop?
A third, so like 3.33%.
Oh, wow, that's quite a bit, since considering the Bean community isn't that big. I mean, that's
exactly.
That's cool.
So like kind of on like a pro rata basis, the Bean community definitely won in terms of airdrop per participant.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. All right. One item I wanted to chat about was just, you may notice that your Discord roles may have changed a little bit. We went over that today. So now there are, just give me 1 second. We changed Shepard's name to Mods. So that's just a little bit cleaner and clearer. I think we went over that last meeting to discuss that a little bit. And we have a new elite squad of Bean Scholars. So Bean Scholars are going to be the people who answer Bean questions, and who can kind of rush in and direct people towards resources, answer people's questions, kind of what we were calling shepherds before. But I think that, and we, that's still open to changing, potentially back to shepherds. But we thought the Bean Scholar had kind of a nice ring to it, and the only scholar before was Mr. Mochi, who we have now made a Bean Scholar. So we thought that didn't take away anyone's role. But you can also notice that the Discord has been reorganized a little bit, and we can thank D's Beans for leading the charge on that. But we went over, now General has been split up between General and Town Square. Town Square has some of the arguably less important things, but things that make Bean really fun, like the Say Bean channel, events, Guess the Bean, Bean merch, that sort of thing. So feel free to look at your leisure about that. And we're also cleaning up the department pages. So the department pages should be a little bit more clearly labeled now, and each department head should have control over their channel's pages. So, feel free to make that your own, and, to kind of, if you think that something's needed, you can reach out to whoever's in charge of it to maybe add something to that. So just, things are changing, things are getting more organized. And the other thing is to just make sure that, we're really using the Notion and to, make cards and to make updates and to try to make Notion actually reflect the current progress of projects. Sometimes something might start as like actively being worked on, but it might still be in the planning stages on Notion, or the ready to begin stage. So just kind of try to keep those updated. As projects finish, you can take them over into the archive section. So things like that. So, and if you feel like you have questions about that, you can reach out to me. You can also, JWW is going to be taking a big role in the Notion, and also there's going to be some project managers. So that just other people who you can reach out to sort of, if you have questions about, how the Notion's working and that sort of thing. So then I'm just going over real quick last week's notes from our meeting to see if anything was dropped. But in the meantime, let's see here. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to talk about was just briefly the poker tournament. So we're actively moving towards more organization on that front. It's getting pretty exciting. We have some. We're starting to approach people to try to get commitments on adding to the prize pool with other tokens. We had some really good meetings on those, the poker tournament specifically. Farmer Dan and I think Farmer Dan. I want to give credit, but I think it was Mod. I'm not sure who the other person was who was researching some different poker sites that can be really good for for buy-ins and for kind of community management for the actual poker event. So anyway, that's really coming along. We're targeting February 26th for the date. That's a Saturday, and I think that's going to be a good enough time to get it done, but enough time to also not too far in advance so that we lose energy, and things happen fast in DeFi. So we want this to still happen, but we want to do it right. So we're very exciting. If you have any ideas about the tournament, we're having specific meetings for that. So you guys can come to the poker tournament meetings, which will be in the agenda. I think we're shooting for the next one. Isn't in the books just yet, but you can check also in the project tab, and there's a project for the poker tournament. So most of you should have access to that. And if you want access to that and you don't have access to that, just send me a DM and I can add you. So happy to get help there. But other than that, I think that's what's on my mind and what's on the agenda. So people definitely open to chatting about anything else in more detail or anything else that's on people's mind.
I'll start. So here's something that's been on my mind, and it's just kind of just as like an open discussion point, hopefully. Something I brought up in the BD call yesterday. But I'm fairly new to Beanstalk. I think I'm 2 months ish new to Beanstalk. I think a lot of people here have been around longer than me. But I've also been in other servers, and stablecoin servers that, I've seen go from 1,000 to 10,000 members, within the span of, 30 to 45 days, which is really impressive. And so I think something that's on my mind is I'm looking at the members we have in our Discord, slightly over 2,000. How can we get to over 10,000 members in maybe the next 30 days? I know that's a really generalized, broad thought, but I'm really curious about this because I think, for Beanstalk to grow kind of organically and whatnot, it's how can we just recruit more people into our home here and do it at kind of the same, pace and scale some of these other projects are able to accomplish. So I'll leave it at that, just something that's been on my mind.
Yeah, totally agree. Go ahead, J-Dub.
So one of the things that we're talking with the agency about, so that one of the Luna that Dumpling had mentioned before, they've grown Discords for other crypto and other DeFi projects in the past. And so one thing that we're talking to them about is just, again, we're still in the early stages of it, but setting up some KPIs with them that we would actually have to have measurable increases from. So I think they've got a handful of ways that they help kind of drive traffic to the Discord, either via Reddit, via Twitter, etc. But that's something that definitely on the agency side, as we talk with them, that we were looking to do. But that being said, we don't have to obviously limit the way we would do it with this agency and who we'd be paying to help kind of grow us organically to what they're doing. I've mentioned this to them as well. I almost kind of want to take their tactics that they have and then amplify it by everyone that we have in the community. And so I think the learnings that we're going to get from them would be helpful. But then, I mean, just in general, there's probably a handful of things that we can do organically. I mean, Dumpling, I think, has done a good job of plugging the Discord. But in general, I think the unfortunately right now, I do think it's kind of more of a grassroots approach from us as individuals until we have a bigger agency or team that's helping kind of on a full frontal attempt on that. Agree that it needs the attention.
So one other thing I'll bring up, and I can speak freely because he's not here right now, but we had talked about hiring as like a one-off that Dave Craig, who, has built Discords up pretty big, has some, but we ended up not going with him because, some concerns in the community, a little bit of question marks regarding a little bit of a feud that he had with Olympus. And without getting into details, just he was someone that we were hoping could add a little bit of jet fuel to like, just kind of like really just our numbers. I mean, I think that numbers are like, we want to add quality people, but at this point we also kind of just want to add people. I think that we do need that sort of like, there is a certain social credit I think that you get just by having like 10,000 people in the Discord, even if, even if right now we have very high quality people, and we don't want to, it's a balance, right? I mean, we don't want to totally just have a bunch of idiots rush in through the gates, but at the same time, we kind of want to open ourselves up to like, not just like people who have, really taken an interest in like the white paper and who are really, I think that, so I guess that's kind of open to other people's thoughts, is how much do we want to kind of open this up to like everyone, as opposed to like right now we've been sort of self-selecting for like, really, really high quality people, but we do need to grow at some point to kind of like the, I hate to say like the unwashed masses, but it is going to be different when there's 10, 20,000 people in the Discord, and it's just going to have a different vibe.
I think a big part of that, Dumpling, I mean, what I associated with that, I can't remember who it was on a call yesterday. I'm not sure if it was Mr. Manifold might have mentioned it. I think a big part of this is a lot of people outside of the Bean community can find it difficult sometimes to understand in like this really memeable way, like how they can get the value from Bean or what Bean's about. So I think that's a big thing as well, in the sense that like if we look at Olympus, they are a very complex protocol, but that 3.3 meme really helped bring people in. So I didn't really have any solutions, but I think that the sort of memeability of Bean, which was something that came up in a call the other day, is like a really important part of the community building process, where people can feel, a sense of understanding and affinity with the project, and that really helps them come into the sort of Beanstalk community. I don't know if that made sense, but it was just a thought that I had hearing you talk about some of this stuff.
Oh, I think it does. I think also just good. I actually, in listening to Max describe pods as zero coupon bonds, it was kind of a nice snappy way of, and I'm not sure about how we feel about that in general, but it was just like different ways of explaining things to different people based on their backgrounds, I think is important. And, talking to like a finance person, and maybe you could mention that. Talking to someone else, you could say that you're sort of betting that the profile, that the protocol is going to get to a certain size, that other people, you could say, like just thinking about different ways of saying things to different people. And yeah, anyway. But yeah, I think sorry, go ahead, JW.
Yeah, I mean, when I first joined the protocol, one thing that Publius said quite a bit, and I think they continue to echo now, is like the significance of having high quality capital and high quality individuals. And I actually don't think it's an issue if we, even though we're still concentrated, that we're a little bit more tight knit and niche. Because I do think once we start to open up, it's going to open up pretty quickly. And I bring that back again to like the agency side of what we're thinking about. There's been conversation of like, do they want to run like guerrilla campaigns and Reddit stuff with us, et cetera? I mean, there are a couple of levers that we can pull with them that we could get definitely I think a pretty good flood of people in here. But it's kind of equivalent to, the other thing is we're not trying to shill, right? And we're not trying to come across as a shill. We're trying to come across as much more buttoned up and legitimate. And so that's kind of something that we have to balance, and we've been talking about with them. And the other thing is we don't want to just drive in inorganic traffic that's only here temporarily, or signups that like are just, existent and non-existent. I mean, I think one thing that would be interesting to look at is to look at some of these larger Discords and actually see what their activity looks like versus, as a ratio to members versus just the sheer volume of it. I get the volume, and I think we'll get there. But I think one thing that's been really good about us has been that activity. And so continuing to focus on like the organic side of growth, I think will be helpful. But nonetheless, my angle on that is one of our stronger levers is going to be pushing this side in terms of in terms of the agency.
One thing that we could do right now is like we should just start like in a more coordinated way, like signal boosting things where it's like, oh, like new Bean merchant, like Substack post, like everyone like hammer the share button, or like, oh, we crossed peg and like Publius tweets about it, like everyone hammer the like button. Like I think things like signal boost work really well within a community. Like I've been in other places where if someone's like, hey, I posted this tweet, can everyone show it some love? And then everyone does, and it just like blows up, when you get like even just like 50 people coordinated. And we could do that like through a Discord channel, like signal boost.
Yeah, sure. We have it on Twitter right now with the Twitter army, but I think we could, the more of those that we could do, some people are on Signal, some people are on Twitter, some people are on, some people, yeah. If you could set one of those up, that'd be cool. Or if Signal boost, you say?
Yeah, that's like one way to put it.
Oh, okay. It's not like this isn't like a different platform. This is just a different way of Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's right.
Just like anything relevant, Bean merchant post, Publius tweet, like we should all be hammering the like button. Like, and we can just be posting that in like a Discord channel. Like, hey, everybody go show this some love.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't mean to sound too, I guess, Web 2 when I say this, but I was randomly, when I was working on something with Mod earlier, I just randomly Googled credit-based stablecoin. And I was pretty pumped to see like Bean is number one. Actually, if you have a hyphen, it's number one. If it's no hyphen, then the IRS is first. But either way, I think it's just great because like we're slowly starting to build some organic traffic. So that might be something else to think about, and also something again from like a marketing / from an agency side. It's pretty easy for us to just start to see what, again on the Web 2 side, what keywords.
Hey, JWW, we can't really hear you.
Really? I'm sorry.
I can hear him pretty well, Mike.
Oh, that's me then.
Anyway, so what I was saying though is that, again, another tactic that we can chat with this agency about, which is again a little bit of an older tactic and focus on like Google and SEO stuff, is just seeing what keywords are doing well for us and using those as we're starting to hammer out more content as well. I think once we get this kind of blog / landing page tweak up where we're starting to put more content associated with Bean.money itself, I think there will be a lot of help from an SEO perspective. Again, on the unpaid side, which is great because then the traffic is more high quality. And then on the agency side, I think that'll be very helpful as well.
Sure, that all sounds good. And yeah, Mr. Manifold, thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a good point, and that's a good metric for us to focus on, especially as the other last thing I'd mention is we'll be getting a job post up here soon, a job description posting, and we're going to be looking for a full-time community manager. So that would be like one of their, KPIs would be like, increasing that number, right? So not to say that, we shouldn't do it before we hire someone, but hiring a full-time person in that role should help with that too. And things, that's kind of where I'm going with the poker tournament and that sort of thing, like just to bring more people in, any kind of fun thing that we can do to bring more people in, I think it's really cool, but we need to approach it from a lot of different angles and see what sticks and what works.
Cool. Yeah. No, totally. And I guess just my last 2 points on that are, if anybody, if there is a video or content or whatever agency that that we think is promising and we could really run with some like highly mimetic campaigns, and we need some funding. Like, I think that's something that's really appropriate for Beansprout to look into and help fund. And the second thing is like, I think right now at the current state of the market, especially the stablecoin market, it's in a little bit of disarray, which I think for Beanstalk is actually a great thing. So, I think we have a real opportunity here, this quarter to capture some market share, market participants, users of other stablecoin protocols. Maybe they're looking for something different, etc. So, I think the timing is also really, really, ripe for us.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have other thoughts, different direction? Just want to make sure that folks come to the meeting with something, they have a chance to say it.
Hey guys, I was just kind of just touching on somebody else's point there. Like for myself, I am pretty new to Discord. It was kind of like organically, like I got into crypto like maybe 1 year ago, and it started with probably Reddit, and then migrating to Twitter, and then finding out about Telegram, and then very recently just coming to Discord. Maybe only 3 weeks on the Discord, and I actually quite like Discord platform. But it did take me a while to kind of figure it out and what it's all about. No, it's just another social media thing or whatever. But now that I'm here, I actually do quite enjoy it. It's laid out very well. But again, just to the point the other guy mentioned was maybe one of you bigger guys can make a post on Twitter that has the Discord link with maybe a little blurb and some nice things that's happening in the Discord or something like that. And then from that link, then we can all share it and maybe other people can easily click. Because for me, like I said, it took me quite a while to kind of figure out what Discord was or even how to get here, just because there's so many different platforms out there, really, right? But I think that'd be good just to play on that.
Yeah, I like the idea of like maybe someone could do because I bet there's a bunch of people on crypto Twitter who like have never even used Discord, right? Like just like you a few months ago, Machu. So what if there was a thread where it talked about a little bit about Bean, but mostly about Discord and how we use Discord and different things you can use and screenshots and that kind of thing. And it was like a whole Twitter thread that just said, here's how Bean, Beanstalk uses Discord to sort of, as a key part of its DAO and how we hold our meetings and, that kind of thing. It'd be kind of a good way of showing people.
Dumpling, I can do something. I think that's a great idea too. I can do something similar to the way that I did it for like the winter NFTs, where it was like a kind of a just quick. I mean, that one I did pretty sloppily because I was in a car, but something similar where I think that's a great idea. Where like the bulk of it is about how to interact and get onto the Discord, and then how to specifically involve yourself with Bean. So it's kind of like a 70-30 split. I can take a crack at something like that pretty quickly and push it out. And then to Machu's point, I think something that would be really helpful for the community, and maybe this is something we kind of echo even just in the general chat, not in the DAO, but having people add their invite links to their profile. I didn't, Dumpling, you and I did that for the first time, I think like maybe a week ago. And I think in general, that should be something maybe we just encourage the community to help grow people into the site. So maybe with those two things, it would be one quick short-term attempt at trying to grab some new followers.
But the one thing that strikes me I think that's a great idea. I guess I was just thinking like, what can we do that no one's done before that would just completely be like, wow, look at what these guys did. Like, this is completely different. Like, I had that feeling when I was trying, and I know I've talked about this probably a lot in the meetings, and I'm not like a big Temple guy, but when Temple did you have to like do this crazy crypto voxels thing to like solve these riddles in order just to buy the damn token, it really got my interest, and it was cool. And I wouldn't have gotten involved with the project at all had I not seen other people like trying to get involved with this and just sharing their screen and this, and so I wonder what we can do that's completely new and completely different, because there's so much to explore. It'd
be kind of cool to do like an Easter egg within the Discord where there's like 50K pods prize if you like join the Discord and like find this Easter egg or like solve this puzzle. That could be one way to like get people joining and then like looking around, because there's like some incentive, but it also requires them to like, sort of be diligent and like pay attention to what's happening in the Discord to like solve the thing. I just see some tech companies.
Yeah, like Discord. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I see some like just like non-DeFi like tech startups doing this, where they like set up a website with like some puzzle and they're like, hey, like there's some prize if you figure this out, But I think you could do like a Discord specific one.
Yeah, I like the pointless verification in Discord. Sometimes that we just click through. How about like just making that a quiz on Beanstalk to even get in, right? Just make it a little more interesting. Maybe it's solving a wordle or whatever. That could be one way to engage people more and get them more interested.
Yeah, I hear that. I also think it might be a little bit more of a barrier, for people who want to jump in and listen or learn. But I hear where you're coming from.
That's true. I mean, it is a double-edged sword, but it could be like a limited timing thing.
So, Machu, you just joined. Did you just join the Discord, or were you on here before? The Bean Discord?
No, I just joined the Bean Discord today. I saw that little link on your profile, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just join through this link.
Cool. And that's because I DM'd you to try to come because of the...
Yeah, you DM'd me, and I was like, who's this scammer? Why am I getting a DM? Why is somebody DMing me, right? Like, I don't trust it a lot of the time, right? And then I kind of chased it back, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's real. But anyways, that's how I joined the Discord, just because of that link.
Cool. But I'm saying, so just this is a good example because we have someone who just joined the Discord. Now, if there was a little like bean wordle and you had to like type in like bean and then a couple like a little word search or like some little task that you had to do you think that would have stopped you?
Like, I think if the task required too many steps or if the answer wasn't straightforward, like if I just clicked the button and it says enter the riddle and I had like no clue where to look, that might have prevented me. But if there's some sort of clue there, right? Like, hey, here's a clue, like you got to read this or check this out, like some sort of a link, and it's maybe just a 2-step thing. Sure, I don't think it would have stopped me if it was simple,
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I just thought since you're here, we could ask you.
I don't know. I kind of think that like if someone is getting to the like join step of entering the Discord, like they're already there. Like the two bottlenecks I think are getting people to the join step of the Discord, like life cycle, and then once they've joined, getting them interested enough to either like understand what's going on and participate, or just be like, okay, this seems pretty cool, and then participate. Like either participate at an advanced or beginner level. I don't think the bottleneck is people like saying like sitting on the Discord join page and deciding at that point, like, do I want to join this or not? So I guess the point being that like, I don't know if like a little puzzle, even if it's really simple, like I don't think that's going to entice people to join if they're already at that page, and it certainly could turn some people off. Like I think the enticement will come before they get to the Discord to get them to the Discord, or once they've joined the Discord to get them to participate in the protocol.
I kind of agree.
Just to throw a couple of other ideas in there. This is TV. I mean, I know we have some complex math in our white paper. I don't know if there could be designed like a small math challenge, like solve for X, and perhaps say one of the clues is in the white paper or something, but something that has some potential to go viral on Twitter. In the sense of like, oh yeah, I want to see what's. If you solve it, you get like a certain amount of beans. So it's just like a challenge that promotes a prize in beans, something like that.
Yeah, or even if the intro was like, you add 2 beans to the field at this weather, like something super simple that gets people to understand the protocol more too. I think we can spell that out pretty easily.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what Fiat DAO did. Is you actually have to purchase the token to unlock some of the channels, and I think there's another one that's Railgun that followed a similar approach. So even if it's not the verification step, we could probably let people into the Discord and then restrict some channels based on solving a quiz or a puzzle. Or maybe they win rules based on solving a quiz.
If we're also talking about getting more views for the Discord link, I think something like just adding the Discord link to like the description of the podcast on Anchor, I think that would be helpful, because sometimes like somebody might be listening to it with a friend and then they share it to a friend, and like then they might listen to it and then see that they might look for links, and like there's no links in the descriptions to like direct them to anything. So I think that would be just an easy way to maybe get some more eyes on the Discord.
Nice. We can also customize the Discord links so that we know which ones are getting more and which ones are getting less. So like on our upcoming, blockbuster YouTube videos you're going to be working on, NASDAQ, we could do a custom link, so then we know how many people are coming from that, which would be a really awesome information.
Yeah, we can add custom links too.
But I'm coming back to this idea of like what is no one else doing? Like, what's a really cool idea that no one else is doing to drum up interest around something, because something that really has a lot of like that is actually really cool. Like I feel like we just need the eyeballs, because we actually have something here. A lot of people who are promoting stuff, they're just promoting vapor. They're not really promoting anything cool.
I really like the Olympus idea. It's not anything new, but I don't know if folks remember here, when early on it was just Twitter images that you could put out that said he's earning like 10,000 APY, right? And I think they've run that quite a few times. I feel like since we have BNIFs, we could potentially do something like that. Stable since October 20, something like that.
And if we did, what would that be? What would the banner read? For it read the APY, right? For Olympus, what would it read for us?
Yeah, good question. I was thinking something like stable from whatever date, or sowing since whatever date, or sowing at so and so weather.
Yeah, I think it should be this farmer is earning 4,000% weather, or whatever they sowed at, and then it also like has a double meaning of being like, okay, if it tracks somehow like when your earliest sow was and like your lowest weather, it kind of becomes like a status badge. So like if you were sowing at 500% weather, that means you were like really like you're an OG to the protocol, versus like 39, 1,000, whatever it is, 300, 900%, whatever. Yeah, so I think weather, because like the APY on the silo is not that great. Like other things, I just think like this farmer is earning X weather. Could be cool.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. The other thing is, if we could come up with like, I think that an idea for the website, and I'm curious what you all think, is if somehow we could talk about, because like right now, everyone who has money in the silo, you're earning more stock, right? Like you're earning every hour, you're earning 1/10,000th, right, for every seed that you have. And if there were analytics sort of saying like you started, like say you put $1,000 in the silo 3 months ago, if there was something that said, you started with this amount of stock, you've now earned this amount of stock, like your return in stock has been, 63% or something like that, right? That might really help people.
That like it will like increase over time, so then they'd have to be like constantly updating their cover profile picture.
Sorry, I went on a tangent. I'm just saying, would that be a better way of explaining the benefit? Like your percent ownership in Beanstalk has gone up, right? Regardless of whether what you've earned in beans, you've earned more in stock.
Hey,
yeah, you're
Dumpling.
Right.
Hey, Dumpling. Yeah, this is Snakey Bait. Yeah, I was going to suggest that we emphasize that versus the APY thing. The only reason I'm saying that is, for me personally, when I discovered Beanstalk, that was the most interesting feature. The fact that there was no pre-sale, the fact that there were no VCs that got in, and I didn't even understand, like, oh, so there's this thing called stock, and I'm not having to buy it. Like, I can just deposit to the silo, and I'm automatically entitled to future yield from future bean mints. Like, that's really cool, And I say that because of the what Mr. Manifold was talking about earlier. There's just a lot more scrutiny now with these stables, and Olympus and some of these other things have had tremendous growth and success, but you guys have seen the consequences of maybe too fast, too soon. I just wouldn't want, me personally speaking from my own perspective, there's a lot of scrutiny. I think if you just see what's going on crypto Twitter, and I would say that we would be better off marketing Beanstalk from that community-owned angle versus the angle of, the field is 5,000% right now, because people need to be mature enough to understand that if they're going to participate in the field, it's a very, asymmetric bet. So, we don't want to be attracting like that type of scrutiny, people coming in saying, oh, these guys are pushing 5,000 APY. This is the new, that's just me speaking from a more cautionary perspective. You know what I'm saying? So the stock and all that, I think that's a really good angle, because then you can be like, look, you deposited a silo and you are a stakeholder. You are a stockholder and you are a stakeholder in this protocol. You have a voice, you are entitled to governance, and you're entitled to yield if this protocol grows. That to me is a beautiful thing. And if we can emphasize that heavily, I think that'll sell itself very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's been so much focus on sowing and so much less on siloing that it'd be nice if we could push the siloing a little bit more. This might be a good time for Publius. Do you have anything that's on your mind you want to chat about? And
can you guys hear us?
Oh yes, go ahead.
There's nothing particular. A lot of things were covered here. If Bean Bankman refried, if you wanted to discuss your question now, I mean, we're happy to have a brief discussion now if you feel that's, if that's what you want to do. Not sure if that's, it's kind of up to you.
No, I think you answered my question over there. My angle with the whole immutability was around preventing bad faith actors, right? So that was kind of the angle that I was going for, and it seemed like a more of an idealistic and, in my opinion, at least, a purist goal to have. However, I do understand there are more immediate concerns with things like that, like removing soil or controlling weather or things that might be needed. I totally get that. So, however, there are certain aspects I feel like we can still aspire to be immutable and build on top, right? So I don't know if you have any thoughts on.
I think what you said is generally correct. But in general, and this is the case with most cryptographic networks, you do need to rely on some set of incentivized actors not to make changes that are detrimental to the protocol. So while we acknowledge, there are some rules that probably shouldn't be changed, like the 50-50 split, as you indicated, at the same time, you probably do still need to accept the risk of stockholders like collectively screwing themselves, which is one of the assumptions that most cryptographic networks are generally comfortable making, right? That's kind of the ethos behind a proof of stake system, for example.
Got it. Yeah, that's fair.
Bean Intern, I just noticed we had you here. I gave a little bit of an update on the poker tournament, but you get so excited about it, I thought you might have fun chatting for a sec about it.
Yeah, I jumped in because I heard that you guys were Liam shot me a message. You guys looking for a community manager, and I was going to say I'd love to like look around as well because I had a few people, but also for the poker, yeah, I am super excited. I actually just organized a call with one of the guys that we want to partner with, so that's exciting. Just need to update the CRM with some info about that. And yeah, I think it should be pretty awesome. Has everyone, I don't know if I guess I'm assuming people have heard about the brief too much, but the plan is basically having this sort of inter-protocol poker tournament, inviting as many like big protocols that we like into it, sort of these like decentralized ones. I'm massive in Ohm. That's like how I originally found Beanstalk, was someone in there sent me over here. So that's what the sphere that I'm sort of really involved in. But if anyone has any like big protocols that they think would be a good fit for it, I guess, then would love like more input, because I've got a couple lined up, but then it'd be cool to include some others as well. But yeah, if anyone has any questions of like my idea for it or suggestions for it, please jump in.
So yeah, Bean Intern is kind of handling our sort of Biz Dev, we'll call it, in the poker tournament. So if you have people you think would be interested in maybe the thing we're thinking about doing is starting a little, as of the meeting last night, is starting with a smaller prize pool that he can then say that if they give $1,000 worth, we'll match it, which effectively we're still going to be using the same number, but it just will help. It will help him get more people to kind of like quote unquote donate to the thing if we match. So, well, anyway, I don't have to get into the details here, but if you have people, we have a good sales pitch now. So if you have people at anywhere else that might be willing to throw $1,000 of their coins, I mean, it's really great publicity if you think about it. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to co-market, and then I picture it as this sort of opportunity at somehow in the event we'll have like people are allowed to shield their protocols. So that's why I think we have to be a little bit strict about which ones we allow in that they're like relatively decentralized, but obviously then I like the idea and like something that we, I guess.
Oh yeah, can you talk about the wanted signs?
Yeah, that was something. So basically I was thinking of having particular community members that we want to get involved in the project. So like I have a couple of people that are really big, like Jaws is really big at Olympus and then stuff like that. And we can make like wanted signs for them, say that we want them to participate. And I was thinking that before we do the poker tournament, we basically release all of these wanted signs for different people and possibly different protocols. And we've sort of made tentative agreements in the back end at least. But then I think that would be a really good way to drum up hype.
And to just explain a little what the wanted signs, like we're thinking like the old Western style, like wanted signs,
like saloon kind of thing.
And you imagine like the Bean, like I'm looking at Bean Bankman refried, like imagine that one with a wanted sign and like wanted, for the poker tournament, like a spade, a diamond, a heart, and a club on like the four corners, maybe, just that's that kind of vibe. Without a lot of explanation. And then people on Twitter are seeing this and are feeling like weirdly called out and like what's going on with their PFP. And then later we announce the poker tournament and everyone kind of, so that's kind of the idea.
Exactly.
And we don't have to get into it here too much, but if you want, you can feel free. Anyone who wants to come to the poker meetings and bounce around some ideas. It's pretty exciting though.
But yeah, I just wanted to ask. Yeah, someone shot me a message that you guys are looking for community manager. I just wanted to like suss out what that role looked like.
Yeah, so I'll shoot you tomorrow. I'll shoot you the job description. I'm just working on writing that up and getting the job board all lined up. Jaker and I will be working on that. That's a new project. So getting all the positions that we're going to be hiring for, and all the descriptions up. So you guys can all look forward to that by next week. But the community manager, I can get that up tomorrow and send a link over to you, be an intern, so you can take a look. Yeah, basically full time. Let me just pull up one thing that I can look at as I talk about it. So we have under community it's going to be pretty broad. We're going to have like social is definitely going to be one of the kind of sub departments of that. Also, I know that you're very interested in the metaverse and like with MetaBean, so that's going to be one sub department. Marketing is going to be one sub department, and events is going to be a sub department. So some of marketing will be sort of over in the design department, but some of it's going to be under the community. So it just kind of depends which piece of marketing that is. But so those are kind of the four roles that we have in mind for the community manager, and he or she will have the ability to hire, for several positions within the community department. We're thinking big.
Yeah, awesome.
But within that metaverse, we think there's just so much cool stuff that can happen. So that's, we can chat about this and who you think might be good to run. But it may also be, even if these people aren't full time, if you have people you think would be good, then yeah.
Exactly. That's what it sort of depends what. Yeah, I'll definitely get back to you on it. I'm pretty.
Sounds great. Yeah, we can chat after this call. Okay. Well, hey, I don't mean to keep everyone around for too long. We don't have to go for the full hour if there's nothing else. Publius, do you have any thing that you want to anything else you want to chat about?
Actually, Dumpling, before Publius wraps it, can I just say one more quick thing? So one thing that actually I think was really cool that happened this week was when Evan he co-hosted like a Dune session. I think there are a couple of people that are on the call, but I was just thinking, like, I think sessions where we're either getting up to speed on something or we're like teach others in the community stuff is really great. I don't know if we have the bandwidth to do it right now, just because I think there's a lot of execution happening. But just in general, I would love to continue to see, like, I mean, we have like the AMA and the classes and stuff, and I feel like the community is pretty open to education and stuff like that. But just really, I think sessions like that where we can kind of jump in and learn about different parts of what people are working on and stuff like that would be something I'd continue to have happen. Like in the past, it was like a lunch and learn where somebody would like lead something where they would just kind of get people up to speed in more detail on what they're working on and stuff like that. So just in general, something to kind of maybe plant the seed on.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. If we tried at least one of those a week, that was yesterday, right? Wednesday seems like Wednesday seems like a good day because we have the meeting, Tuesday we have the class, Thursday we have, but if we could shoot to try to always have something on Wednesday, kind of like that. As far as permissions on, posting in the calendar and that sort of thing, since I can, it's a little hard for me to, do you have permission to post in the calendar, JW?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay, but that'd be a good thing we could call it, like it doesn't have to be for lunch, but kind of a lunch and learn type of attitude, sort of a lower bar. It doesn't have to be a huge meeting, but just things where people could, I feel like I can already think of a few other things that people might, use this sort of format for. That doesn't really, we don't need a whole meeting for it, but something where someone can explain or show or.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I think, we're all benefiting from EIP 2535, but to be honest, I still have a lot to learn about it myself, and I'm sure the dev and engineering team is obviously quite aware of it, but even something like that, like an overview of like Basically, just random parts of the protocol, so that we can all kind of get up to speed on more details of what's happening in different areas.
Sure. No, that sounds great. If that might be something good that if you were interested in, or if someone here was interested in kind of taking ownership of trying to put together one event per week that was for this sort of thing, or maybe let's just plant the seed now. But if someone can think about it, maybe by next week we can see if this naturally happens, and if it doesn't, maybe it's something we should put a little bit of effort behind.
Perfect. That sounds great.
The last thing I'd say is I don't know if we have anyone here besides JW, for the next Twitter Spaces, we were thinking about trying a different time. I wonder if there's any way, if someone had a little bit of bandwidth to help, Publius, I don't know if you could, it'd be so great if you could hop on one of them. I don't know how we want to utilize that. Maybe we want to wait a little bit for, the following to grow a little bit more, for us to have a specific announcement. Does anyone have any ideas as far as, if it's possible, first off, but if it is, how can we utilize Publius on something like a Twitter Space?
I mean, you tell us where to go, right? Like when and where.
Yeah, and actually, Dumpling, I forgot to, this is what I was saying, my list kind of disappeared. I wrote out like a kind of a high level strategy that I wanted to chat with you and IPO about in terms of like putting more structure behind the spaces and what we're chatting about. And then I was thinking like maybe once every 4 weeks, if we can try to line up like a fireside or something like that, where you or IPO is having a fireside with Publius and then maybe somebody else from a different community to help drive in their followers and stuff like that as well, and just frankly have good conversation. I don't know if once a month is too frequent. I don't think it is. It would just take us kind of coordinating who that would be jump on the spaces with us.
Yeah, I think we could forget Osfi, because he sent me a message saying like that he feels bad he hasn't read the white paper yet, but he's really interested, and so that he might be good, and he has a good following. So whenever you're in a Twitter Spaces, it basically alerts your whole audience. So that could be a way of bringing a lot of people in. But yeah, okay, that sounds like a good thought.
Okay, yeah, Publius, is once a month for an hour too much of a commitment, or is that doable?
I mean, generally we can make the time. We just have to triple check that the modifier works on Twitter. We weren't exactly sure how that works, and they didn't have very clear audio settings. So pending that, there shouldn't be an issue.
Cool. Yeah, we could just offline. We could just try real quick and make sure it works. Before we plan anything. But that sounds like a good idea, and it's nice to know that you have that availability. And I think we could get a pretty awesome dynamic Twitter space going. So cool. Okay, guys. Well, don't mean to keep you too late.
Hey, Dumpling, real quick. I think it will also be good to have someone like a Wartle to talk about like what community building was early on at Olympus, and just to learn from some of the experiences of DAOs that have gone through this. Sure.
It'd be cool if someone could come to our meetings and chat with us. Like some people do this. I think who was it? I think it was, I'm forgetting right now. But anyway, for the first 10 minutes or so of a meeting, they have someone from a different protocol come on, chat a little bit. And just like you said, explain, what things were like in the early days or, whatever. That might be a cool thing for us to do. So if anyone has any connections and they're thinking, that might be a good way to both introduce someone to the protocol, but also for us to learn from them.
Yeah, I can try cold DMing Wartle.
Sure, but we might have someone else who could just send them a message. Maybe JD280. I think it's 280. He's pretty connected over there. Being an intern, knows some people. We might want to work through connections, but you could also try a cold DM. Would be fun.
No, I like your approach better. So we'll see if someone has connections. Otherwise, you can always cold DM.
Sure. That sounds good. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for the good meeting. And yeah, we'll talk soon. There should be some meeting notes that are up by To Bean or Not To Bean. So you can look for those and talk soon.